I am that I am, Adamus of sovereign domain. Welcome to awareness. Let's take a deep breath together as we begin our session. Going to ask Linda to keep track of time today. This won't be long. Do let me know when it's 8 o'clock. So, dear Shambra, here we are. Another session together, another beautiful month of experiencing since our last time. As Cauldre and Linda discussed before, you're moving into a time of experience, going beyond all of the old dreadful processing, I hope, into experience, and today is going to be an experience. As a matter of fact, I'll guarantee it. Money back guarantee. Absolutely. If at the if at the end of our wonderful session today you are not happy with the information that you've received, if you have not received something substantial, life-changing, earth-breaking, joyful, and overall just awesome, ask Linda for your money back.
You better be
This,
good.
Linda, not that. Nothing here, everything there. Yes, indeed, a money back guarantee. Pete, how much did you pay to be here? $25 to be here for an experience of enlightenment, of joy, of laughter, and of anger. $25. And how much extra do they have to pay for the food, Carrie?
Nothing.
Nothing. For $25, you get me and food. And a money-back guarantee that you're going to receive something personal and transformational today. And it also applies to all of you listening in online. How much have you paid today to be here? Nothing. Nothing. You're joining with this incredible group of Shambra. Yes, you have to bring your own food, but and you haven't paid anything. You haven't given a blessing. You haven't sent this incredible staff a little note of thanks. You haven't given a few euros or yen or won or dollars to be here. Let's change that right now. If you're going to be here, you have to give something. As I talked about months ago, just a blessing, just a little blessing. Better yet, how about an email to the staff? Not to Cauldre and Linda, they get plenty, but to the staff of Crimson Circle and to the teachers who are out teaching and to all of the incredible translators and interpreters, to those who are putting together the website. Send a letter, send an email, send it to email address
crimsoncircle.com.
Somebody at crimsoncircle.com. You may want to write it there for the Roy Cam to take a shot. Send it to
Michelle, what address? Info
at crimsoncircle.com. All of you listening in today, that's your exchange, and you get a money back guarantee. If you don't like what we have to say today, we'll send your email back to you. This is the new energy. We offer guarantees on your spiritual enlightenment.
You are amazing.
So do send it.
Is Jeff doing okay while
I
you're
say
saying
this,
these
so
things?
he's out somewhere else. He's sleeping. It's jet lag time. I've taken over. Oh, the things we're going to do today. So, dear Shambra, seriously though, we're doing this together. We're doing this together. It's It's fun. It's arduous at times. It can be challenging, and I know I make some of you a little upset, and I try to, because it gets energy moving when you get a bit upset with me. But to give thanks to this group that's here today. Many of them traveled a long way to be here, to add their energy, to really create this incredible safe space so you could participate. And if you're not watching live right now, if you're reading or watching this later, I'm talking to you just as well. Send a thanks, send a blessing, because that way we can continue to evolve and expand everything we're doing together. This isn't a group for those who want to be stragglers, those who just want to hang on for a cheap ride. This group is truly moving into new energy, as you're going to see and experience for yourself today. So let's take a deep breath as we begin our journey. A journey that starts in this now moment and expands. A journey into higher levels of awareness and consciousness. A journey into, by the way, I have to stop for a moment. Some of you are absolutely shocked right now. Not necessarily the ones here, you've been through this before, for the most part. But some of you are absolutely shocked. Is this a spiritual gathering? No. No, I'm sorry. Go somewhere else on the website. This is a gathering of consciousness and awareness. Some of you are shocked that we could have this type of sacred gathering and be a little rambunctious. Do you know what it was like in the mystery schools hundreds of years ago? It was fighting and hair pulling and screaming in between playing beautiful music.
Someone walked out already. I hope you're proud.
Go ahead. In between hair pulling and we had music. We had breathing, a lot of breathing, but we got very real. As you probably know by now, spirituality or consciousness without reality is very false. It's very false. So here we get real, right? In every way. And we allow the full expression, and we don't give a damn what they think. Yes, absolutely. And welcome back. Yes. So today I've decided we're going to do questions and answers.
What?
We haven't done those in a while, so yeah, you're going to be the lone applauder because I'm going to ask the questions. You're going to attempt to answer, and then I'll give you the real answer.
Oh, we know that.
That's Adamus's questions and answers. So we're going to start with the first question today. What's it like outside? Let me peek. Beautiful
no
day.
Shoes, that's nice.
Beautiful day. So the first question for you to contemplate is, whose voice are you listening to? Whose voice are you listening to? Mine. Sounds nice. Okay. Tiber, whose voice are you listening to? Mine. Whose voice are you listening to? Yeah. Award for Adamus Award. We now have the official Adamus Awards in. No answer is a wrong answer, but very few deserve the Adamus Award. There you go. Would you like to unwrap that in?
Are you going to
for
bless it
everybody
or
to
something,
see?
or kiss him?
Certainly.
Yes. The moment of suspense. And there it is, the Adamus Award.
The ace.
The ace. Linda will hold one up for the Roy
Can I
Can.
borrow yours just real quick? Here. The
So,
ace.
Joyce, whose voice are you listening to?
This is not working with my nails.
Mine.
There we go.
That answer has been taken, but that is a good one. Yes. Carrie, on a day-to-day level, Carrie, day-to-day, whose voice do you listen to? Too many. Another Adamus
I only
award.
have, no, remember.
We have
limited
plenty
supply.
of food to give out today if we need to.
Okay.
And
go, Ms.
yes,
Carey.
thank you, thank you. Yes. Who's next? Siglinda, whose voice do you listen to? Spirit. Whose spirit, Siglinda? Oh, let me run over here and could we have the microphone here?
Nuts.
Okay, Siglinda. Siglinda said she listens to the voice of spirit. Okay, but what is spirit?
All of us?
All of us. So you're listening to all of us.
More or less.
More or less. That's actually a pretty good answer. Since Linda's going to be stingy today with the Adamus Awards, we'll go into Calder's pocket, and he's got... that was a $5 answer. So, Caldra, you can expense that later. Just don't let the auditors see that. So, whose voice do you listen to? Microphone, please.
It's on camera. You don't have to worry about the auditors.
Whose voice do you... Microphone.
Oh, I'm so lost.
Whose voice do you listen to?
I listened to mine, and you aren't going to destroy my illusion, are you?
No. I destroy no illusion. I just place a lot of doubt in them. Edith. Whose voice do you listen to?
My own divine voice
And where do you find that divine voice?
inside of me.
Inside of you. So if I was a surgeon, I could cut you open and find...
No, smart aleck.
You listen to your own divine voice from within. How do you tune into it?
Have to be quiet,
You have to be quiet, and then you hear your divine voice.
if I'm lucky.
And how often are you lucky in listening to voices? I'll answer for you. Hardly ever. Once in a blue moon, and that's probably a bit too much. There's your microphone back. I hope you don't mind me answering. You were right, but I'm more right. Very, very seldom. Sue, whose voice do you listen to?
Well, it's
Oh.
the aspect that's screaming
Hold it,
loudest at this time.
The aspect that's screaming loudest. Well, that sounds really sick, but give her an award. Because it's true. It's absolutely true. Okay, and yeah, sure. Whose voice do you listen to?
There are too many.
Too many. That's correct. That's like aspects.
And eventually, to the heart space. And whatever rings in that moment is the one.
Could I listen to your heart space? All I hear is thump, 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 thump. But that's a good voice to listen to. Other side of the room.
Oh, let me run.
Yes.
Oh, please let me run for you.
And then I'll have you writing on the board.
Oh, good.
But we don't have a lot of time, so you have to hurry when you walk.
Let me be your slave.
So whose voice do you listen to?
I'm sorry, service, not slave.
Yes.
Many.
Many.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, good answer. I think that deserves an Adamus Award. Yes. Thank you. Okay. And one last quick Vince, whose voice do you listen to?
Oh.
That chattering little
Oh, sir.
that chattering little piece of my mind.
Exactly. Okay. It was already taken, so you don't get an award, but you just kind of were redundant, but correctly redundant. Yes. So, dear Shambra, this is an important point as we go forward. What voice are you listening to? And generally, what happens, ready at the board, please.
Oh, please, let me hurry.
Subtitle, new fresh sheet of paper.
Oh, of course.
Voices.
What color you like?
You pick. Getting human to make a choice.
I'm very clear and can make a choice.
Voices. Generally, aspects. Generally aspects. Aspects, as you know, are aspects.
One S or two?
A-S-P-E-C-T. A-S-P-E, yes. So generally, you're listening to the voice of aspects. These are parts of your psyche or yourself that could be from the past life, could be from this lifetime, could be parts of you you don't really consciously know exist, but they're parts of you. Each has their own agenda. Ultimately, their agenda is to return back to you, but there's a lot of conditions that need to be met in order for that to happen. So they act out their own limited agenda, and they're constantly chattering. Now, in a way, you don't necessarily distinguish the difference in the tone of their voice, because it all comes through your mind, and therefore it all kind of sounds the same. But at any given point, you could have hundreds of aspects talking. And they do. They chatter all the time. They don't have anything else to do. They don't have jobs. They don't sleep. They don't have children, other than you. That was funny. They spend, what's your human term, 24/7 working you, manipulating you. And eventually they will come back, but right now they're tied up in this game. So the voices go on and on. They push and shove each other out of the way a lot of times, trying to make themselves heard above the vast noise of your psyche. So the voices get louder and louder and louder. And what do you do? It's not a trick question, but what do you do? Larry. Larry goes crazy. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, go in the microphone, please. So what do? You have all these voices. You go crazy.
Go crazy.
And now what happens when you go crazy?
Gets quiet.
No, not at all. You don't get a Damas Award. You're on your way to one, but no. What happens is when you start to go crazy, what you do, not talking about everybody else, what you do is you distract yourself. You find a lot of distractions and a lot of excuses. I'm not picking on you, but I am. A lot of distractions and anything to quiet these voices down. Some of you may drink. Some of you may act out very dramatically, because when you act out in drama, suddenly your voice becomes much bigger than your aspects' voices. But you have a nut house going on, a crazy yard. It's voices from everywhere. And what you're really trying to do is you're trying to block out these voices. But you can't, can you? Oh, dear Shambra, now, very few of you have ever hit a point in meditation where you can really quiet down. No offense, but you're not good meditators, but you're Shambra. So, but a lot of you have tried it, and you effort at blocking. And you actually become almost good at being able to really block things out, because you isolate yourself. The noise is still there, but you're pretending that it's not. So the noise is all around. Now, in addition to your aspects, there's other noises. Where are they coming from? Parent tapes. Excellent. That's an award and $1. And I'm going to ask Aldo to bring a lot more cash with him.
Who was
You'll
that?
be filling this hall every month.
And what exactly is the answer?
Parent tapes. Parent tapes.
Oh, parent tapes.
What your parents told you. Those play over and over and over. You have them on the internal hard drive called the mind, the brain. The brain, as you remember, is a memory device. Stores memories, brings them back up. So you're thinking about doing something, and the parent tapes come back up. In raising your child, your children, parent tapes come come back up. So those play constantly. What other noises are going on? Church and teacher tapes. Church and teacher.
Oh, okay. No mic.
So
No mic. God, tell me what. You want the mic or the right?
Church and teacher.
Church and teacher.
You know, let's call it preacher-teacher tapes.
Oh.
Preacher-teacher tapes. Going on and on. You're doomed to hell for an eternity. That's a long time for doing something. Or your teacher constantly on you, telling you have to work harder, study harder. Studying doesn't get you. The best way to study, put the book down on the floor and sit on it. Breathe, and you're going to absorb the information. And not through your brain, but through your energetic being. You're going to absorb it, and you're going to get the essence of it. Now, if they give you a test an hour later, are you going to be able to fill in the intellectual answers? No, but you're going to have the essence. So what other tapes going on? Belief systems. But whose belief systems? Well, that goes back to aspects, yes. Mass consciousness was what I was looking for. How much do you want? Pin, dollar, or a kiss? A kiss. I love this job. So, back to Kathleen. Yes, what did you say? Belief systems. But that's a very tangled, gnarly web, belief systems, because where are they coming from? All over. Your aspects and mass consciousness and your preachers and teachers and the other realms. The other realms account for a lot of belief systems and acting out. Entities that are hanging out around, not you, but you know what I'm talking about, the people that you work with, the people we're going to talk about in our upcoming workshop. Oh, Caldress, tell me I'm talking too fast. But you know, this is a relief because in our recent Asia trip, I had to talk so slow. I got constipated. I didn't, Caldress did, but
How did that help your book reading?
TMI.
How did that help your book reading?
There's entities that hang around and influence people who are particularly imbalanced. Now, please don't run home, hop into bed, pull the covers over, and wonder what entities are trying to be with you at that point. Because you know very easily, if there is, you do what? Beat them up. Run the other way. No, you make a conscious choice. Get the hell out of my life. Be clear. Don't be a pansy. Don't try to process them. Be clear. Get out of my life now. You don't need them. And if you do, there's something you need, which we're going to talk about in June. Therapy. So you have all these voices going on, and when you stop for a moment because life has gotten so crazy, so overwhelming, and you break down, and you say, "Please, I need some help from somewhere, from something," and you still hear a lot of voices, and you still have a lot of clutter. So what do? You should breathe, but you go shopping, yeah, or you withdraw. You withdraw and you limit yourself because you don't know what voice to listen to anymore. By the way, I'm not picking on anyone. Hello. I'm not picking on anyone, but I'm trying to help you to understand because you're going to help a lot of others understand. What voice are you listening to? The real voice is the body of consciousness. It's an encompassing voice. And it's not just the divine. as we talked about in our last gathering, you've kind of separated the divine, put it off in a spiritual closet somewhere, locked the door, and then forgot where the closet is. So I don't want to say it's the body of consciousness is just divine. It is also human. It's also mental. It's also your future potentials and the past or yesterday's potentials that were never actualized or realized. You know, as we talked about before, you've had things happen to you in the past, but that's very false. Because while you had an experience of being, let's say, in a, I was going to say car crash, but that would put something in your mind. You might have one tonight, so let's not say that. Let's say in the past you had an incident where you got very, very sick. Oh, now you think you're going to have to get sick tonight. So, well, let's say you got very sick. And now you believe that you had a period in your life where you became very sick and almost died. And you record that now as the event that took place. It would be like it was published in a newspaper, and it is what it is. It's news, it's history, but actually not at all. It was one of many potentials, very alive and real potentials. It was the one you happened to manifest in this reality. But you had many potentials in other realities that were manifested in a non-physical form. You had many, many other potentials that were contemplated. We thought about them at some level, but were never actualized. That's your real history, is your potentials, not what you think happened. But you already got your money's worth. Right? Already. So don't fear. I don't think you'll have any requests. And you online, start writing those letters of thanks to the staff. So the real voice, and the voice that is now emerging, that you can truly feel, is the body of consciousness. Consciousness is awareness. Not yet. Consciousness is awareness. We talked last month about your body of consciousness, the I am of this exact moment. Yesterday doesn't matter. Past lifetime is irrelevant. The potentials of the future can actually only be pondered or contemplated from this moment. You don't go into your future potentials to contemplate them. There's a lot of things that are going to happen to you, or potentials, Elizabeth, in the months to come. Wonderful things, by the way. Now, you don't go into the future to contemplate them. You contemplate them from right here. But you have to be able to trust the voice. The voice. And the reason why so often you go into the past or you project into the future is because you don't trust this voice in the now moment. This is amazing. Amazing. So what we're going to do today is start that process of trusting the voice. But you have to understand where all the other voices come from. Mass consciousness, aliens, other non-physical entities.
Aliens?
Sure, aliens. Everybody needs a little alien now and then. And ghosts, spooks, I like that word. Spooks, they're all around. Now, and actually the funny thing is there could be spooks in the room right now. They're not today. But they're not. Spooks are ghosts, dead ones who are roaming the earth, who haven't released.
Which category do you fall in?
Grand, ascended, master.
Oh, what's wrong with me? Oh,
Yes,
a new category.
Yes, and also, if you would, voices, put Adamus on there.
Grand Ascended Masters.
Yes, you are. Yes. So what we do now is get into awareness of the voice of your body of consciousness, your awareness. It doesn't speak in language. We all know that. We've talked about no definition, no words. Voice is actually a misnomer, but it's the closest that we can get here. But it's the feeling, the knowingness in the moment. That's the voice. You're not going to hear sounds, words in your head. You're going to maybe feel something in the heart, in the gut, but you're going to feel I'll define it using Calder's definition. When he goes into connection, I hate that word channel. When he goes into connection mode, there's a golden, honeyish, warm, sweet energy that flows through, creates those chills that go from the top of the head down to the feet. And that's the voice. That's the knowingness that you're there. And that's what you feel or become aware of or listen to, for lack of better words. It may or may not have attributes of your humanness. This voice is partly your humanness, so you may hear some of that. But it's the allness. It takes implicit trust. Trust in yourself, because what happens the moment you start listening to the voice of the body of consciousness, the I am, every one of those voices starts coming up as well. Why? Because it's quiet time for mommy and daddy. It's quiet time for you, and this is their opportunity to start pushing their agendas, to start vying for position, to start getting you to act upon whatever their imbalance is. So suddenly there's this flood of other voices coming in. At that point, you remind yourself of the I am, who you are. Not a, can I swear?
Oh, please.
Okay. There's
No F word. Don't use the F word.
No, never.
That offends too many people.
Never. No, I'll use the nice word. No falseness about the I am.
Oh, come on. You can use that word.
Which word? No, it's two syllables.
Shit is 2 syllables?
It is if you put a cow in front of it.
Oh, bullshit.
Yes. See, now she said it, not me. I would never use foul language in talking to a group.
I'm in service.
But yeah, but you know, sometimes when you say "I am that I am," we've done this with groups of Shambra around the world. Had them say, "Well, let's do it right here." Okay. I'm going to ask you to in just a moment to say "I am that I am," on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
I am that I am.
Hallelujah.
This is not a revival group, but well, or perhaps it is. Perhaps it is. So, yeah, that was actually better than anticipated. Let's try it one more time, but a little bit more real in it, a little bit more grit, a little bit more you in it. On the count of 3, and let's do this for the non-paying studio audience or webcast audience. On 3, 1, 2, 3. I am that I am. Pretty good. Pretty good. You're still wondering if you can believe it, but actually you're starting to. Excellent. So you remind yourself during this process of listening to the real voice. I am that I am. I am that I am. Then these other voices actually do start, settling down a bit. They don't necessarily go away. you're not blocking them out. But suddenly, they're listening. They're listening. Say, what was that? What was that Mark said? Did I really hear Mark say, I am that I am? Now, they don't necessarily really buy into it yet. But the part of them, that light within, wants to buy in. So they'll stop for a moment. And they'll listen again while you say, I wanted Mark to say it, but that was good. So they, Mark's voice, we need a word for Mark.
Here we go.
For cleverness, wittiness.
You want to hand it to me?
No, you're
Okay,
the official hander.
I'm happy.
For wittiness.
I'm in service.
So all of these voices stop for a moment, and again you say, Mark. Yeah. And they actually quiet down for a moment. They're ready to pounce again at any point, but they quiet down for a moment. In this sacred, safe space is when you really start hearing your real voice, your body of consciousness voice, your aware voice. Let's try it right now. This is a safe space, I hope. We've gone for 10 years here, no major accidents. So, this is a safe space. You know all these voices haunt you at times, but now you're really starting to realize the I am. You're not letting them run the farm anymore. You're taking back the leadership. You're taking back yourself. You're taking back the I am that I am. So we're going to play a little bit of background music, just to have your mind think it's doing something. And I'm going to ask you to be very bold and open up your awareness. Don't listen with your ears, but listen with your body of consciousness, your entire being. Listen to yourself. Feel yourself. And know yourself. So we're going to ask our friend John to put on a little bit of very beautiful music, multi-dimensional, layered, and very conducive music. So take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Relax. Relax. Wow. I'm very, very impressed with this entire group. The musical composition or the toning was from Anders Holte from Germany. Many of you are familiar with his work. And it wasn't the toning that is the voice that you're listening to. It was actually more of a distraction than anything.
Do not use the restroom.
What you were really doing is your mind was focusing on that so you could start relaxing.
Don't
so
do
you could
it.
start getting into that quiet state. And
Shame on you.
so while the toning was going, you were able to let go, relax a little bit. And then when the music stopped,
Is your zipper up?
when all of those voices had kind of settled down, and everything had quieted down, then when the music stopped and it was quiet, you had a minute or so of actual, real quiet. And you notice you didn't necessarily hear a big voice. It just felt really good. That's the big voice. That's the body of consciousness. No commotion. No wondering about if you're doing it right. So you thought we were done, and you actually relaxed because you weren't doing the homework anymore. You were just waiting for me to start up. That moment, that brief moment, was when the real voice within comes up. Doesn't tell you what to do. Please, please, please. Don't expect that it's going to tell you what car to buy, where to go on vacation, or anything like that. Those are such old days where you needed somebody or something telling you what to do. Doesn't need to, doesn't want to. It just wants to be with you. That's the greatest voice of all. Yourself wanting to be with you. Feeling so safe now in this rather harsh reality that it can just be with you. It's the only voice you need. You don't need messages. You don't need define answers. That's what you listen to. This multi-dimensional toning composition from Anders is a wonderful way to get into that. I believe it can be found in your website. But whether you choose that or something else, it's a great way to get into that and then just allow that quiet, safe space. You're going to start feeling the real voice. So let's move on to my next question today. And just for those of you who are wondering, am I going to answer the question, did Jesus die on the cross? It's Easter. It's Easter, Andra. Hundreds of Shamba around the world want to know. I might, if we have time. I might. It's a fascinating answer. So I do have, well, actually, we all have an appointment. I forgot to tell you. And the reason why I'm going to have to go, by, well, let's say 5 o'clock. Oh, let's say 6. Is because we're working on something right now. You probably didn't know. You knew because you felt awful before. And you thought it was about you, but it's not. It's not. Oh, I'm singing. It's not about you. Later. So we're working on something right now because that's what we do. That's what you do. Take a deep breath, and I'll explain what it is. There's actually a terror attack planned for tomorrow, Easter. Makes sense. The little disruption of sacred religious services. It's an attention getter. It gets in the news. It makes big news. And shame on those who do acts of terror on a sacred holiday, no matter what religion it is, but it's a sacred holiday. It doesn't matter if you're honoring the living or the dead, but it's sacred. But there's a plan underway, and that's why I have to leave here sooner than later to go work with the terrorists. Not encouraging them, of course. And you're working with them also. And so what do we do when we're working with a group of terrorists who plan destruction on precious human lives on a big scale? Do we go in and yell at them, Steve? No. Do we pray for them, Marilyn? If no...
No,
you give me $1. Give me $1. Give me $1 for her. I'll turn this into a profitable company one way or the other. No, you don't pray for them. Because that's your agenda. That's your lack of compassion, sorry. But I got $1 out of it. So do we go in and use psychic energy on them? No. What do we do? Okay. We compassion.
You want a list?
Sure.
It would feel better to hire a hitman.
I want your purse. I want the whole damn thing. I want everything. Andra, are you busy tomorrow? I need a session. So, compassion, absolutely. You go in, we go in with compassion. And we're there right now. Part of you is there right now. In this planning, in this meeting that the terrorists are having, we go in there with an expanded sense of awareness. In other words, these things don't have to happen. There is no destiny. We go in there with an awareness of grander potentials, not to inflict it, not to demand it, but what if it would be like walking in with a huge basket of presents and saying, how about this? Instead of, boom, this. How about things like loving yourself instead of being angry with your mother and thinking you have to blow up the world? How about this basket of presents, this potential that says, you are God. Now act like it, rather than saying, this is God, and these are the rules, and follow it, or we're going to kill you. So we go in there with a very expanded sense of awareness, and maybe, just maybe, they absorb it. They feel it. Maybe one in the group, or 5 in the group, stop for a moment. I feel something. I hear a voice. I feel something, and you know, is this really what we want to do to get our voice heard? That's all they're trying to do. Get their voice heard. Maybe we don't need to blow things up, but maybe, just maybe, we start taking a look at ourselves. How we individually, one by one, even though we've worn this costume of being a terrorist, how maybe we can start changing the world by changing ourselves. Or we can get over control and anger and having our past life aspects rear their ugly head and want to blow up things. So, Shambro, when we go in, as we're doing right now, into this gathering of terrorists who are working through their last-minute plans, we go in with that compassion. By the way, it's the same way of dealing with yourself. Because, flip back please to page with voices. These are terrorists. These are terrorists. Andra? Yes. Do they like blowing things up?
What?
Sometimes yes, yes. Sometimes they just like the hypnotic effect. Sometimes they just like to cry a lot. But yeah, some of them like blowing things up within you. Blowing that up. That's an easy target. So, back to our discussion. There truly is a group of terrorists who are planning something for tomorrow. So here we sit and we say that that energy, that stuck energy of anger, of control can be transmuted. Not out of force, but out of compassion and honoring. Not out of arm wrestling and not negotiating, believe it or not. I don't negotiate at all. If you truly understand the I am, there's no negotiation. I am. I'm not going to negotiate it. I am that I am. Nothing more, nothing less. So we go in there with our presence. And may the presence be felt by them. So what happens? Well, one of several different scenarios. Tomorrow, you wake up, and there's some very bad news. Of course, none of you really want that potential. Most people don't. Or tomorrow, there's some interesting news. A group of terrorists on their final portion of their plan did something stupid. Their plans went awry. They couldn't blow up the bomb in their underwear. Never understand that one. And I have to say, terrorists, would you go back to the voice page?
My pleasure. Terrorists
are not very smart. They're really not. They're loud, but they're never smart, ever, ever. So that's another potential. Government officials uncover a plan to fill in the blank, destroy something. Last minute, it's thwarted. That's when you get the big smile on your face and go, God dang, we're good. And we didn't have to force anything. We just took our awareness in the now moment and placed it there. Amazing. Magic. Actually, not magic at all. So simple that there's nothing mysterious about it. Or the third scenario, nothing. Nothing. You don't read about a thing. Nothing happens. Tomorrow comes and goes like another day. Because at some level within the plan, it just fell apart. It just fell apart. Whatever little detail or details. Or maybe the leader of this group suddenly had a heart attack, keeled over. Not that we caused it. But you know, dear Shambro, when there's a lot of heart energy, such as you have, when you put out, it can affect somebody's heart. If they have really closed down energy, it can open it up. Suddenly, too fast. So you read about nothing happened, and then you wonder, well, was Adamus just making this all up? Because any scenario, Adamus was right.
You didn't give me... I was going to bet you 100 credits.
Yeah. Any scenario. So the good scenario for me is if the plot is thwarted and makes the news. The bad one for everybody is if it works and the terrorists don't feel our presence. And the one that actually would be best is, well, I'm not going to rank it best, but the one that actually I would feel good about is if nothing happens, their plans fall apart, because that tells me that consciousness truly is expanding. It's not going to tolerate intolerance.
That's good.
It's not going to allow all of this old energy control from going on.
Can I write that?
Yes.
Okay.
I have no idea what I said, but so, dear Shambra, let's take a moment, if you would. We're working on this, all of us. You can stop writing those letters of thanks and take a moment right now to take a deep breath. The world is a beautiful place. It truly is. No experience like it. You really can't ascend in the angelic realms. You go there to recover from being on earth. But you can't descend. You can go there to hide between lifetimes also. But it's here. It's right here where we do this work. And this battle between terrorists and the heartfelt, the compassionate and the aware, this battle between the forces of old and the consciousness of new, it's not just about Earth, you know. It's also affecting and has grand implications in the other realms. There's angelic realms. Oh, I'm going to talk about angels one of these days, and I'm going to give you the real lowdown on angels. And it's not as fluffy as what you would think. Yeah, it's an amazing thing. But there are angelic beings who are really holding back. They don't want creation to move forward. For whatever reasons, I'll go into that. Would you write that down on the list of things that we're going to do before I leave? We're going to do a angel workshop, and we'll call it something like angels, forces of good or forces of evil.
What do you want up here? Angel workshop?
Angel workshop is good enough for now. I'm trying to help with the marketing and keeping things moving. That's why I'm offering the money-back guarantee on this workshop today. So, anybody want their money back at this point? Good. We're not done. So, let's expand our awareness, our compassion, into this energy, this consciousness of the terrorist group. Just be there. Take a deep breath and just be there. No lectures, you don't have to have your voice chattering away at them. Just like you don't need other voices chattering away at you. Just be there. Every part of you. Your wisdom. What you've learned over these years about consciousness and energy. Bring that with you. What you know about the internal strife within yourself. What you know about tilting at windmills. How it's really just a big illusion. How you know when you finally love and trust yourself. There's no need for any sort of terrorism. You don't have to blow things up to move things forward. Let's just be there in this moment. As you probably already have guessed, figured out. It's not just in a geographic location on the planet that this group is operating. they're operating in the non-physical realms. Matter of fact, you could say that the humans who are operating in the physical realms are being manipulated by beings on another realm who are projecting their voices onto the humans, their agendas. Let's just be there in all the realms. In the true I am presence. Let's gently come back to focus here, but actually part of you is still there. And remember, no agenda of the outcome. No agenda. The moment you go to an agenda, you start to put a balance or an imbalance on it. So no agenda of the outcome. It is what it is. Let's take a deep breath, and we're continuing to work here, but there's activity going there. Can't wait for us to talk about it next gathering. So let's really shift gears here for a moment. So I'm going to ask you, who's pulling the strings in your life? I'm going to ask Linda to run around with the microphone.
My pleasure.
So I'm going to start right up here. Let's start with Garrett. Who's pulling the strings in your life?
A lot of the time it's my aspects that are screaming.
A lot of times aspects. Thank you for the very honest answer. Absolutely. Good. Linda, you pick and choose this time.
Okay. Anybody want to throw a hand up? Do you dare?
Who's creating the reality in your life? And yes, this is a trick question.
They all are.
Who's creating the reality?
It's a lot of times it's my mind.
Hey, your mind? Yeah, that's a good answer. You may want to carry some Adamasa words with you, because
yes,
I have a feeling this is going to be better than what I'd planned for. So sometimes it's your mind. Okay.
Any award winners?
Yes,
Mary,
to
okay.
Mary.
Okay.
Mary gets an award. So who's pulling the strings?
Another hand?
I know you want to answer. You look so radiant today.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's the list that's up there. It's all the same.
The list that's up there. Yes, that's good. Kind of been said, so I can't give you an award, but you are correct. So I'm not going to embarrass you in front of millions of people. Billions, maybe. Yes.
I'm pulling the strings. I'm creating my own reality.
You are. Really?
Yes.
Really? Did you choose your birth parents?
Yes.
Really? When?
Before I came down to this planet.
Really?
Yes.
Did you remember it?
No.
Oh, who was there with you?
That's a very good question.
But you say you're creating this reality, yet
Down here.
Down here?
Yes.
Okay, but didn't it start with your birth parents?
Oh, yes.
Okay, but you don't remember.
I don't remember choosing them, but I know that I did.
You think that you did.
Correct.
But you don't know that you did. Otherwise, you'd tell me what the meeting was like with the other angels and how you chose the birth parents.
Well, I could
you
make
didn't
up
choose.
a
You were
story.
Yes. Take Dreamwalker birth. You find out you were sucked through this tube back to Earth based on a lot of unfulfilled desires and kicking and screaming. And it wasn't a conscious choice. I hate to tell you.
Yeah. Okay.
With all the love and compassion, but you didn't choose it.
Okay.
Got mine. I wanted money. So who's pulling the strings? Greg.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, sometimes it's bureaucracies.
Yes. Bureaucracy's pulling the strings. They're pulling the strings, but you're buying into it. Like a little puppet. Yes.
How cute. Do that again.
Like a little puppet on the strings. Because you buy into the belief system that
Not always.
the bureaucracy has the final say.
Not always.
That's common. Not always. No. Many times. No. Yeah. Not always at all. But it's a good observation. Okay.
Does he get a prize?
Not quite. No. Prizes are the ones that really make everybody go ooh and ah. We have a hand over here.
Oh, very good. You are a brave one, sir.
Who's pulling the strings?
My first thought would be that I don't know. I absolutely don't.
That's good. Leave it right there. Give them a prize. But now you can continue. Yes, go ahead.
You want it back to him? Thank you. Tiger.
But as I let go of trying to figure that out, because you can't figure out I don't know.
Right.
It seems like we are co-creating. The more I let go of I don't know, the more I'm allowing all of us together to come up with what we want to live and experience.
Where are you from?
Source.
Sorry. I would like to go over to our table here. They
oh my
hardly
God.
are ever included. And
I think, okay.
Any one of you can answer. Who's pulling the strings, Ricky?
Oh, we got volunteers.
My body of consciousness.
Your body of consciousness. Okay, good. Now keep the microphone because we're going to go with this. So your body of consciousness. Okay, but you just learned about body of consciousness a month ago. Mm-hmm. So what about all the other experiences in your life up until February 2010? Where did those come from? Who was pulling the strings?
My aspects.
Aspects, yes. That's good.
My aspects have been pulling my strings, but body of consciousness really felt right to me.
Right.
So to me, it's my body of consciousness.
It's a good answer, but none of you really believe it yet. None of you are experiencing it yet.
Doesn't that get a prize anyway?
We're going to. Not quite. I'm sorry, but next time. Yes.
People around me that I allow to control me.
Yeah. People around
you.
Pull
my strings.
Absolutely. Pull your strings. So, Nancy?
What?
Nancy, Kathy, I just want to give this table attention. They're always working so hard serving you. So who's pulling the strings in your life?
I was just going to say it all depends on what I'm doing.
Right.
Like at work, it's the bosses.
Right, exactly.
At home, it could be, whatever I'm doing. My grandkids.
Right. Okay.
All depends on what I'm doing.
Good. Honest answer. Kathy?
Ego.
And where's ego?
It's all that.
It's all that. Okay, good answer. By the way, not to correct you, but I always do. Ego is not a bad thing. Ego actually derives from the term I go, I expand, I experience. So, but along the way, ego was made into a bad word. But actually, it's great to have a lot of ego.
Thank God.
You think of ego in negative terms, like somebody being egotistical, full of themselves, self-centered. And there's a line, a fine line, but it is a line. There's a difference between being absolutely self-centered, where you're feeding or stealing energy from other people, and being self-aware and self-filled, meaning you don't need to steal energy from anybody. You are so aware of yourself and so damn in love with yourself, you don't need to steal. You don't need to make excuses for yourself. You don't have any doubt about yourself, so you can express openly and joyfully. You don't need to hold back. That ego is a beautiful thing. It's the expression of the I am. Yes, a couple more here. Siglinda.
The physical body pulls a string or two?
Absolutely. Physical body pulls a lot of strings. Absolutely. You can be having a really good day, and then an ache or a pain, the voice of your biology jumps forward and starts screaming, and it will ruin a good day. Yes. Yes. Elea.
For me, it's a degree of trust of myself.
how well I trust myself in that moment depends upon whether I agree with the aspects
Right.
or I agree with the I am.
Okay. Exactly. Very honest answer. Yes.
Pass it to the aisle.
Sometimes because of lack of trust, you allow the others to pull the strings. It's actually easier some days to have somebody pulling the strings. And
I missed that. I was walking. Can I see that again?
Have somebody pulling the strings, and Calder doesn't like that.
You know,
Really?
No.
the way you're saying this, it's almost like you're talking about being influenced by others. How are you being pulled the strings by the puppeteer? Who's pushing your buttons? Would it not be better to look to that quiet voice within and increasingly make more choice from what you know?
I guess I'll just go home now. I don't need to finish the lecture, but I have some interesting diagrams. So yes, two little awards.
Oh, for God's sake.
Yes. But I'm going to say it a little different. Not better, just different.
He wants a gold piece.
We're coming out with that soon. So now I'm going to go to the board for some diagrams. So the question is, who's pulling the strings? And if you would have told me that, nobody, I would have had to call you a liar. Oh, give her something. Something. Yes. Thank you. Oh, this so much reminds me of our old mystery schools where we would go for days. Sometimes some of you would get so drunk even and then feel miserable the next morning. And sometimes it would just sheer beauty and joy. So I missed that, but here we are doing it again. So at times there's a lot of New Agers in denial. And they say that there's nobody pulling their strings. And so I asked them, I couldn't do it with you. I was trying to goad you into it and have you give me some of those BS answers. But, dear Shambra, sometimes, there's the answers that says, nobody, I'm creating my own reality. So I said, oh, really? So you have certain gifts and talents. Where did you get those from? Well, and these others who are not so real say, well, I created them. Really? And you remember creating them? Well, no, but I created them. And there's those who say, I am the creator of my reality. And I'm like, really? And this is what you created? That was funny. So often I hear these very esoteric answers, but there's no real life application. They're not real. So I want to discuss here in our remaining moments, which could be hours, I want to discuss who's pulling the strings. And I want to answer my own question, a question that has perplexed many of you for so often. Does a human have free will? We're going to answer that here today. You're going to get your money's worth. Does a human have free will?
They have free choice.
Oh, do they?
Very expensive choice.
Very good. So I'm going to draw now. So I'm going to draw, and this is all symbolic. Don't take it literally, but it's a good way of showing. Your source is on a journey. Your self is on a journey. And we talked in our last conversation about the body of consciousness, but the body of consciousness has different, I'm going to call them wave forms, or different dances that they do. Your spirit has a wave form. It's a beautiful wave form. Don't take this literal. This is symbolic. Your spirit is on this journey, and it has a few of its own desires. The desires can be summed up very easily. Your self, wants to know thyself. In answer to the age-old question you asked a long time ago, who am I? It's finding out. It wants to know thyself. And it does it through what I call the 3 X's, triple X-rated, which are experience, expansion, and expression. This is what your spirit, divine, whatever you want to call it, wants to do. It's out there dancing along, floating along. It just wants to know itself. And it wants to experience. It can't know itself without experience, so it goes through experience. And it wants to continue expanding. That's the joy of spirit, expanding. Going backwards doesn't work. Staying in neutral or park will eventually bring explosion. Bring boom. Something has to move the energy. So it wants expansion, and it wants to express that joy. To just know that joy within thyself, and then not to express it is, well, unfulfilling. So it wants to express. Through singing, through music, through books, through a job, through a bad relationship, through a health issue, they are all forms of expression. And this is what your spirit waveform does. You have another waveform called, well, let's call it human. The human waveform goes something like this. That human part, which really takes up the vast majority of your awareness right now, it has a whole different set of dances and desires. It has a lot of agendas. Because it generally doesn't see spirit, and it believes it's acting on its own, so it becomes very defensive, very isolated. And it wants things like survival. This is old Lemurian programming, survival. Go to Earth, and you stay there. Get into biology, because then you can have some experience. But you stay there, so you survive. Old programming. I hope that we're going to be able to take away that programming to survive, because it really is a pain in every way. You don't need to survive. You need to live. So it wants survival. It wants, to a degree, comfort and pleasure. The pleasure portion comes out of old Atlantean programming. There was a pleasure center that was programmed into everyone. Why? Because you can make people work really hard and do amazing deeds when they get a little reward at the end of the day. When they get a little sex, a little alcohol, a little acknowledgement, whatever, a little power. So this is the comfort and the pleasure portion. I'm sorry if you can't read that.
It's not good, but
turn
it's
that
okay.
more towards Roy Cam. Comfort and the pleasure are also programming that I'd like to see us get rid of, release. You don't need to get a little biscuit at the end of the day. You're not lab rats anymore, where you have to get the goodie at the sugar. Was a wonderful discovery a long time ago, and sugar actually. I have to be careful what I say here. Well, no, I don't. The sugar, to a degree, has an energy of hypnotic overlay in it. And I'm not saying sugar is bad, but sugar triggers something within you energetically, not biologically, to make you think you feel good. What kids are given sugar, why? To shut them up. It's not good for them. It gets them into a frenzied, energetic state. But sugar is a hypnotic drug. You can write that down. Adamus. That sugar is a hypnotic drug. So the human needs to survive, pleasure, comfort, and then it gets into other energies like control and power. It loves those. It gets into the building of its identity. This is the negative interpretation of ego. So let's say identity. Old programming.
Oh my God.
Old programming. Oh, I'm trying to not use my brain. Old programming. So this human wave constantly tries to reinforce itself. The spirit portion is trying to understand itself. The human is trying to fortify itself.
You should write that down.
Well, this is all being recorded.
Okay.
So the human constantly has to reinforce its identity, and it doesn't actually allow the true expansion or exploration of identity. It wants to restrict and overly limit the identity. So you have these waveforms, and a beautiful natural thing normally happens. A spirit is dancing, human waveform is dancing, and there are times when they naturally flow apart. And when they do, it can actually be a beautiful thing, because this human can go into the depths of its own discovery. The spirit can go into more expansion. Normally a beautiful thing. And then this separation acts almost like an attractant or a magnet. And it brings them back together, closer. And then there's the opening again, and where the human goes deeper into its experience, the spirit goes further into its celebration. And so you have this constant back and forth.
Could you do that with music?
It is truly a dance.
Stick with singing.
It is truly a dance. And together apart. It is the breath also. You can feel this waveform, this dance. It is very warm in here.
Colder needs a drink.
Door open. Please.
Please?
Please.
Thank you.
The energy we are creating here. So, they have this beautiful dance together.
Thank you.
Now, ultimately what happens, and you may already know the answer to this, so there's the spirit, and then there's the human, and at some point they touch. At some point they cross over. I'll just zoom in on that. They cross. And then the dance changes, where there's this constant weaving into each other, no longer separated. And this point right here is the critical factor. This is awareness, ground point zero. In other words, you've let go of the old dance, the old past. That's all becomes history, memory, a part of experience. Now the dance is together. The awakening, the beginning of the awakening process is back in here. This is where your awakening started to happen. You felt a momentum that was no longer going to bring you somewhat together and send you back apart, but you felt, oh, dear God, they're coming together. It was a result of a lot of things. It was trauma, depression, lack of passion. All of these things created a momentum from the human side, which created a downward spiral for you, for your consciousness, that gave you the boost to come through this point. And your spirit, which had been a waveform way off somewhere else, said, I'm going down. I'm going to take the plunge. I'm no longer just going to be up here in the airy-fairy etheric levels. I'm going to earth. I'm going to be with you. And at this beautiful ground zero point of the I am, you came together. I want to come back to this, but I want you to note something very, very interesting, because it's Easter. Deep breath. So,
Oh my God.
what is that, Shambra?
Fish.
Symbol of a fish. And who uses that?
The Christians.
And what is the rationale? That Yeshua had a bunch of fishermen. Absolutely not. What the? Who would choose a fish as their symbol? What did Yeshua mean by this? It's the overlay. It's the dance that goes on and on and on. It's not about fishing. It's about integrating. It's about coming back together at this point. And Yeshua knew that. Yeshua explained the very same thing. He didn't have a nice piece of paper. He wrote in the dirt. He explained the very same thing to his disciples and to some of the others who could hear. And Mary Magdalene stood at his side and explained even more of the details of what was going on in this most amazing process. And he used the symbol, which somebody turned into a fish. He used this symbol of coming together that I have shown here. Coming together. The dance that finally brings it back together. That's where you're at. This is what's happening. And from here, going forward, is no longer different waveforms. It is a body of consciousness. Did you get your money's worth? Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. For you who are going to be attending our discussion of mental imbalance, this is going to become an integral part of our discussion, because in a mental imbalance, Greg, instead of having waveforms that dance together like this, they are erratic and they are dysfunctional. And when the human waveform, which is influenced by the voices of aspects and mass consciousness and guilt, when the human waveform starts going like that, erratically, this is good stuff, then the spirit waveform starts going like that. And pretty soon, they absolutely lose each other. The human goes into psychosis, mental illness, breakdown, multiple personalities, and all these other reasons you have the mental imbalances. It's all focused through the mind, but it's a breakdown, the natural rhythm of the dance of spirit and human. So, well, we're going to do this in much more detail. I'll talk more about how I've oversimplified in these diagrams, but what happens is these are the main waveforms or waves of consciousness. Good title for this talk, Waves of Consciousness. Now, in reality, when we really get into it, you're going to find that you have a lot of aspects. Those aspects also have their own patterns, and you have millions and billions. I represent them with a dotted line because they aren't quite as pronounced or out front, or are they? So when does this human waveform stop being a solid line and start going into a dotted line? And the aspect waveform goes from being a dotted line, trying to take over, trying to dominate, and now turns into a solid line. Now you've got a really mixed up human. We're going to talk about how to go in, but and help bring them back into the dance, into the waveforms. It's simple. It really is simple. Now, in reality, I've drawn these as relatively linear waveforms. I truly wish this whole wall was a writing, and all these walls were writing boards. Wouldn't that be incredible, Susie? Now, in reality, these waveforms are not just straight lines like what I've shown here. They actually, again, with a simple depiction, that source, they actually are like an expanding spiral. And if you look within that spiral, the dances are going on, but this whole time, the body of consciousness is opening. Sometimes in a very mixed up, chaotic, and traumatic fashion, sometimes with the illusion that it's all going to collapse. And at times, there is that illusion is very real. It does collapse. Not really. But the consciousness closes the door, and it creates the illusion that the expansion has collapsed. I think you know what I'm talking about. In reality, even this spiral isn't quite accurate, because the dance is, if you really looked at it, it creates kind of it's like a big circle, a big ball. And the ball is expanding. The ball is the awareness, and it's continues to expand out, continue to open up, until you come to the point of the I am. Now, something else happens there. Something else happens at that point of intersection I talked about. The ball or the spiral doesn't continue its spiral path. It doesn't continue its regular expansion. And we're going to talk about that in our next session. But I want to answer the question before I see my time is running up. I want to answer the question for you. And you can contemplate it, and you do not have to agree with any of this. I simply pose questions. I simply pose questions. In all of our discussions, in all of our private talks, I simply pose questions. But the question is, does a human have free will? Go back to some of the earlier diagrams. Question is, does the human have free will? Or the question prior to that, who's pulling the strings? Who's pulling the strings? Who created your biological, or who chose your biological family? Not you. You weren't born. How could you have chosen it? Your skills and talents. Was it astrology? Was it God? Was it a group of angels? Was it your spirit guides? Was it your higher self, your oversoul? Was it just plain fate and destiny? Was it just really crappy bad luck? Who's pulling the strings? And that is a very age-old question. And the answer is, well, it depends. Depends where you are in your consciousness here, who's pulling the strings. Spirit has its own song. It's floating down the river, riding the waves. It kind of doesn't care. Because Spirit, your divine, is getting experience. It's expanding. And it's expressing, even though if expression means screaming and yelling, it's expressing. A health issue is a form of expression. So when and spirit is going along, it's not that it disregards you, but its needs are different. Its desires, passions are different. You have the human down here who is struggling for survival and identity. And you want to say, well, I'm creating my reality. Well, that's actually not true. Because a lot of your reality is being created or influenced by this waveform, other waveforms we're going to talk about in our mental health workshop, other waveforms that are up here on the divine level that you're not aware of. You actually aren't creating much of your experience at all. At all. And in answer to the question, do humans have free will? No, they don't. They absolutely don't. If they did, they would be totally different. They're under the influence of something. Their strings are being pulled by something. Karma? Well, sure, if they believe in it. Religion? Absolutely. All of these other things, their strings are being pulled. They strongly want to think that they have free will, and they demand it. I have the will to quit my job when I want. Well, they don't. I have the will to live where I want, but they don't. They live next to where they grew up. Hello? Next to their mom and dad. So actually, no. Humans don't have free will. They really don't. I hope that makes you a little mad. Because you always thought you had free will. You have divine will. Tobias said it to you years ago, and that's the channel that you forgot. You didn't want to hear it. Truly. He said, there's divine will. The will of your spiritual wave, spiritual dance, actually will override the human will. Like that. Instantly. And it accounts for a lot of the things that have happened in your life. Your spirit isn't inflicting those negative experiences, but there's things that are far more important to your spirit, to your divine, than silly human antics. And desperate attempts to control, to have pleasure, to fix an identity, and to survive. Doesn't matter. Spirit's going to survive. There's no death. Yeshua proved that on the cross. There's no death. He didn't die to atone for your sins. He didn't die for you and your sins. Good grief, that's egotistical. Yeshua's going to die for you. Yeshua came to a point, and it was a collective consciousness, so it's a little different, but Yeshua came to a point of saying, I'm going fishing. I'm going to intersect. I don't care if I live or die. I'm tired of being in my own prison as a human. I'm tired of not being with me. I'm tired of these two always being apart. I want back with me. Boom. They crossed. Oh, did I say cross? Did I say cross? They merged. Heaven, earth coming together. The waveform of divine and the waveform of human finally intersecting. So, did Yeshua die on the cross? No. He came alive on the cross. A physical body didn't mean anything. He knew it at that point of the cross. By the way, this symbol was picked up hundreds and hundreds of years later as a form of hypnosis, suffering. He died for your sins. I don't think so. I don't think so. Nobody can die for your sins. But this was originally meant as this point of intersection, the cross, the coming together. And it was used later to signify suffering and pain and guilt and control. So, dear friends, Yeshua woke up on the cross. And in that moment, released the physical body, which, by the way, 2,000 years ago, you had to do it that way. You don't have to do it that way now. He released the physical body, and he really came to life. He went on merrily with Mary Magdalene. They had children together, even though he didn't have a physical body. Huh? Beautiful children. Yes, you can have sex even when you don't have a body. Very true. You have better sex sometimes. Not always. Not always. Not always.
You're a genius.
So, dear Shambra, we've covered a lot for today. It is truly time. Let's continue let's be in the presence of these terrorists. And we've covered a lot of material today. A lot of material. In our next gathering, we're going to talk more about really what happens to this sphere, this growing, expanding self when you come to that point of intersection. But in the meantime, do re-listen to or reread this Shroud, because a good part of you was off in an expanded sense, but now bring it back down to this level by reading or listening again. As we've talked about, we're going into experience. We're going into something new and different. Not everybody is going to like it. Believe it or not, I can't imagine why, but not everybody is going to like it. This is not going to be palatable to all who are on the spiritual path, and that's okay. It's not meant to be. We're talking about things here that are very different than some of the old beliefs, different beliefs. Doesn't make it right or wrong. But as you know, when we gathered together a long time ago, we said we're going to explore some really new territory. But the more we explore new territory, the more we find it was just simple, basic truth, simple, basic, common sense. So as you go off into your lives, remember, you don't have to worry. You don't have to doubt. All is well in all of creation. Therefore, I am that I am. Adamus, in service to you.
And so it is.